Welcome to the Biz Bash podcast, where we make biz strategy a piece of cake. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cami, but you might know us better as Eliza Ann Calligraphy and Cami Monet. We want to help you, our fellow stationers, artists, and calligraphers, confidently build a profitable and personality-driven creative biz.
We're here to share our honest-to-goodness advice and actionable strategies for ambitious artists.
So put on your party hat, quit being a procrastinator gator, and let's get this party started.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Biz Birthday Bash podcast. We are entering a very exciting new season today. This is kind of coming quickly for many of you listeners. We didn't have an official final episode per se of Cami and I recording before she left on maternity leave, just because you never really know when a baby is going to come. Am I right? So today is actually the first day, official day that we're launching a podcast where Cami is now on her maternity leave. We will let her share all of those details when she is ready, whether it's on her social or elsewhere, because we don't want to give anything away or spoil any of that stuff. That is all hers to share. But I have a very exciting person with me, Holly of Sablewood Co. Hello, Holly.
Hello.
She's back, you guys.
I'm here.
She's here. We did an episode with her in 2021 about a Kickstarter campaign and what to do if you want to do a Kickstarter campaign. But we basically went to Holly and we were like, hey, how would you feel about temporarily co-hosting the podcast with Elizabeth to give Cami some time to be on her maternity leave and just soak in all those baby cuddles, but still bring you guys content at the same time? And Holly was amazing and so gracious and kind because she said yes immediately.
It was like an instant yes. Like I didn't even finish the question. It's like, whatever I have to do, just I'm in.
Yes, which I was very excited because Holly has been our friend for a long time, a mutual friend of both Cami and I, and she was the very first person I asked because I would trust Holly with my life. I honestly would. So,
making a little heart right now. You guys can't see it.
Yeah, you guys can't see it on video. We love you too. So that is basically the deal going forward for the next couple of months. There might still be some episodes. I can't remember on our schedule with how everything plays out. I know for sure that there's going to be guest episodes coming out over the next couple of months where Cami is still involved because it was before she was on maternity leave. So we're just going to try to do the little clarification before every episode where we're like, hey, it's another maternity leave episode. You know, Cami's still not here.
Maternity edition.
Yes, not here during these recordings. But obviously we miss her, but I just want her to enjoy this phase of life as much as possible. So
yes, enjoy that baby, Cami.
Yes, enjoy that baby and those snuggles. I am just throwing Holly right into it because when I reached out to her, was that even earlier this week or was that last week at this point? I think it was last week.
I think it was like even Friday last week.
Was not even a week ago. So this is happening like really fast. I thought we might have a little more time, but that is okay. So we are just getting started today and going for it with Q and Cake number 31. And I'm realizing now that like there might be some questions directed towards Cami. So we're just going to do the best we can.
Yep. We're I'm not going to pretend to be Cami or anything, but
yes.
I'll try to answer any Cami questions I can. We like trade off pretending like to what be Cami, we think Cami right? would say.
What we think she would say. Yes, because this first question is about working with influencers on Instagram accounts, and I personally don't have a lot of experience with that, but we probably have some good insight maybe from friends who have done it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead and read this first question, Holly, and we're going to see what we could do.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
And Steph, preemptively, I am saying I am sorry if we let you down on this one because this question is from Stephanie Brown.
Sorry, Steph.
Yeah, sorry, Steph. She says, hi, I'm wondering about partnerships with influencers. I know Cami has talked about using this as a way to grow her biz, and I am interested in what that looks like behind the scenes. Do you pay for product placement? If so, what is an average investment? What does the long-term relationship look like? And are there contracts involved? Any tips on getting started and reaching out to influencers? Would love to know how all of this works.
All right.
Woo!
Woo! That's a lot. But I think I also don't have a ton of experience with influencers, but I think that these are questions that we can definitely answer just by, like
breaking it down.
Yeah. I mean, I think this relationship with influencers is just like any other relationship with another business is like, absolutely, you have a contract. Yes. Like, definitely, you need to know what's expected of all the parties involved. Like, if you send them a product or something, what are you getting in return? Is it a single post? Is it a series of stories? Are they going to do a reel on it or a TikTok video? Like, what exactly do you want out of the relationship and what are they willing to provide?
Yeah, I agree. Like, those things need to be set up front going into the relationship. And it never hurts to at least reach out to them and ask them if they're taking on brand partnerships or what that looks like. Because certain influencers probably have different ways that they process some of that. I know some influencers have like agencies now and stuff too. So it's like you never know the appropriate avenue of conversation until you can at least touch base, whether it's like the email button in their profile, have, whatever it might be, to reach out and at least start that conversation. I have been pitched before. Like, I've gotten emails from companies, right? That it's like, will you share this product in exchange for X, Y, and Z? Or will you do a post in certain other things, to like meet these requirements or whatever. I mean, I never personally took them because I just like wasn't interested in that. But it was kind of like a pitch email like any other. But I think the most important thing is finding people who jive with your brand. Like the same way when you're looking to get product in a store, it's like looking for an influencer that it would make sense, right? That they're pitching your product.
Yeah, I was going to say, ever since I hit 10,000 followers, like I'm only at 10.7 now, but whatever. I'm like, what is it, like a micro influencer?
Yeah.
It's when you get like the really bottom of the barrel influencers like reaching out to you like, oh, please wear my jewelry. And you're like, have you even looked at my Instagram profile? But I did have one a couple months ago, and it was like a pet brand. And they were like, we'd love to send you some cat collars because we see you love cats. And I was like, oh my God, I really want to do this, but it does not, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really jive with the brand. So with my brand. So why would I waste the time? And also, like, I'm literally just doing this to get a free product. So that doesn't really make a lot of sense. I want to build a relationship with someone. And that's, I think, like, at the heart of Steph's question is like, how do you make sure that this investment that you're making into this influencer is going to pay off in the long run, not just once?
Yes.
Because it's just like marketing, right? You can't just do a one and done and expect to make a ton of money. You have to like build this over time.
Yeah. And I think it's fair to say to expect like to be paying a few hundred, if not more. I would say like $500 and more per post, like depending on who you're planning on working with. I mean, even like thousands potentially. That's what's so crazy.
I've seen 1,000.
Yeah, like $1,000 per post. So I feel like that's something you have to be sure of for sure. I wish I could remember.
Sure.
Yeah, I wish I could I could remember which episode it was where Cami talked about. She did talk about this a little bit because she had been doing those like influencer giveaways, which was very interesting.
Yeah,
where she like
I think
paid.
That was like a few months ago that went live, right? Or in the summer?
Potentially. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look through because it might have been another Q and Kate question where somebody asked a clarifying question. So I know that has been brought up before and being part of those like influencer giveaways because that's kind of like a whole nother thing as well. But I think
because there's those ones that I can't remember what it's called now, where you like follow somebody else and it takes you to their profile and the loop giveaways. Yes.
The loop giveaways. Yeah. But I was going to say too, I know that Cami has been working with a lot of companies in the party world, and that has fit, like the fit for her there has been really good because they're kind of all in the same wavelength in terms of like style, bright colors, like eccentric, super fun. Lots of stuff maybe geared towards kids and young ones. Like I know that Cammie's school party pennant was like the best selling party pennant. And I think part of that is because she was partnering with all these people with kids that were, you know, sharing their party pennants and all this stuff like that. So she's kind of found her little niche of people. And I know for a fact that she has formed genuine relationships like with those companies and with the ladies who do a lot of that stuff.
You bring up a really good point that influencers don't have to be like celebrities with 100,000 followers. If you get a group of moms or dads from your local school, because you're into like school stuff and you get them to like just send your product to them and they share it all over the place, like that is a very small world. They will just talk you up all day and say like, look at this super adorable thing that I got. You need to go get this. It's like its own little tiny influencer world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, don't limit yourself to just people with 300,000 followers or 1 million followers or whatever it is. Like there are other ways to leverage like quote unquote influencers for your brand, I think.
Yeah. I think smaller is better to start out with, honestly. Like you don't have to go for the Danny Austins and Arrows and Bows of the world. Those are two like women that come to mind that have these like massive, you know, Instagram accounts. I also unfollowed both of them. I couldn't handle it anymore. I was like, and I'm done.
I like those accounts are crazy.
Yeah, I was like getting like really overwhelmed. Though I also was getting influenced a little too much. Well,
they were doing their job.
Yes. Yeah, they were doing their job. Exactly. No, I definitely have a pair of shoes in my closet 100% because Danny Austin had like talked about them at some point. So at least I feel like
that's when you've made it, when somebody, when you can influence somebody like a total stranger and they're like, oh, I bought this because of you. That has made it level there.
Yep. Hands down. I did something last week too. I can't remember what it was that Will was telling me. He was like, you realize you just got influenced, right? And I was like, yep. I think I saw.
I love that that's like a verb now or whatever.
Like, I think I saw.
You got influenced.
I think I saw a Taco Bell ad and then I wanted Taco Bell. Like it wasn't even.
Well, okay. We love Taco Bell though.
Yeah.
Like you can't. Taco Bell is like the jam.
You can't like see an ad and not go.
Right. No, if somebody even just like, if I hear it across the park or something, somebody says like Taco Bell, I'm like, oh, we have to go.
That's it. We're going to Taco Bell. No, we drove to go try to get Taco Bell on Sunday night and they had closed early because of the snowstorm here, which like wasn't even a snowstorm, Holly. Nothing stuck. There was no snow and like everything was closed. I was like, this is so indicative of the South in general.
Yeah, I totally understand.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Because you're from Florida originally. So
yeah, but the people in Seattle, sorry guys, like I live in Seattle now. I'm from Florida. I live in Seattle now. But the people here are insane because they also don't know how to deal with snow.
Yeah.
And it snows with some regularity. So it's like everywhere except like the Midwest. Like they know how to do snow, but everywhere else is like, oh my God, there's things falling from the sky. I don't know what to do, and they just lose their minds.
Yeah, exactly. So. They just like completely lose it. It is so funny. We had people sledding down the hills here, like on the grass, on the wet, cold grass. There was no There was no snow. Okay. I saw this TikTok of this girl who like posted about it, and I was dying. And I was like, I'm not surprised though. It got like cold enough that it was snowing all day, but it just didn't stick. But people still made the most of it. So. Okay, I think we're ready for the next one. And so I will have you read this one.
Sure. Okay, this is from Patty at Buttercup Studio Co. She says, I love listening to your podcast. Me too, Patty. I also love listening to it. You have been so helpful to me as I try to grow my art business into a viable career. I mostly sell original watercolor paintings and prints, but I have also begun to sell some products. My question for you is, how much of a profit margin would you suggest having for product sales, for both direct sales to customers as well as for wholesale? And is there a percentage that you would recommend to make production viable and profitable? And I'm sure Elizabeth and I have a lot to say about this because that's an excellent question.
I was hoping that you would mostly have things to say about it.
Oh, I have things to say.
Please dive in and share all your knowledge, because I feel like my brain has moved beyond like a little bit of like that tangible like product stuff and like service stuff that I'm not as like on top of that anymore. So I'm going to pass the torch to you.
That's totally fine.
Okay.
So when it comes to profit margins, it works just the same way with wholesale and retail as it does for invitations. Like you want to make sure that you're making at least, like you're marking everything up at least 2 times. I think industry standard for wholesale is now like 2.3 times markup. That means that like you're covering anything that goes wrong, like maybe some paper is out of stock because like that's a thing now. And so you have to substitute it for a more expensive paper if you're printing like greeting cards or something, or like you have to substitute like some sort of packaging material for something different, so that markup covers your butt basically. But also it ensures that you are like, if any of your supply costs go up, I totally lost my train of thought now. I was thinking about this product that I just started making, and I originally got a quote. This will actually be good. So I originally got a quote for these like rigid magnets from this one company, and this was three months ago. And so I wrote all my pricing down, and I was like, good, I'm ready to pull the trigger on this. And I went back to them, and they were like, oh, by the way, it's going to take 3 months to get these made. And we also raised our prices. And I was like, well, that's not going to work for what I want to sell this product for. So I had to go find another company. And thank God I had marked everything up like 2.3 times, because now like that covered the extra cost that I incurred from going with a different company. So that's a good practice, I think, for wholesale. When it comes to retail, you take your wholesale and you mark that up at least 2 times as well. So it really is like a flat 2 times, but some people mark it up a little bit more, but 2 is like,
so it's like
that's the good thing.
What they're going to sell it for, you're charging them like 50% of that cost.
Half.
Yeah. If we were to put it into percentages. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry. You can do it either way. Whatever way works like better for your brain. So if you have a product that sells for $15, then you want to wholesale that for $7.50. And that's just like industry standard across the board, no matter what you sell. And you can add in like other fees within the wholesale price, but like that wholesale price needs to be half of retail. And like, that's it. There's no like wiggle room there.
Yeah.
But to your question, like, is there a percentage that you would recommend to make it production viable and profitable? Like, this really comes down to where do you get everything produced? And I think Elizabeth and I were talking about, like, in the future, maybe she and Cami do this, or maybe it's one of the episodes we do, but like things about wholesale that like people want to know, you know, is that maybe that's something that we want to do in the future. But this is a great question for a beginner wholesaler to kind of think about. You need to get a lot of pricing from a lot of people and figure out your best, cheapest price that can produce something that is actually like worthy of selling.
Right.
And that definitely does not mean going to like your local printer necessarily. Like you might have to go outside the country. You might have to go out of state. Like you're not necessarily going to work with somebody that's like right down the road.
Yeah. So if we go back to the $15 example that you gave, and half of that is what we're selling it for wholesale. So $15. So then it's $7.50. So how much of that do we want to be taking home as profit? Do we want to be spending $2 to produce the product? $3? Like, do we want to be taking home more than 50% of that cost, you know, when you're breaking it down that way? Yeah. Because you don't want to be taking home like 25 cents per product when you're wholesaling it. You know, you have to sell so many of those for that to be viable.
Yeah. So I think that kind of like full circle, that wholesale price needs to be like 2.5%, 2.3, or 2 times. I know I'm like throwing out these
2 times. Okay.
It needs to be half. It needs to be like half what you've invested in the product.
Okay.
or you need to mark up what your product costs to make 2 times to make a wholesale rate. So for that $15 product, your retail rate is $15, your wholesale rate is $7.50, and then what it actually costs you to produce would be somewhere in the like $2.50 to $3 range to make money. Because if you think about it, like if somebody goes and buys 10 of those products from you, like you're making like nothing on that.
Yeah.
You know, this has to be something that you're actually going to like take home some profit for.
Yeah.
So it really works like much better on paper, all this math.
All this math. Oh, I know. Like whenever anyone has to listen to Cami and I talk math in an episode, I apologize like far in advance because I'm like, we will most likely say something that makes no sense. Because let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do another version where we like go forward, kind of how you did initially, you know, when you're like multiplying it. So I want to produce like socks. I have this unique sock idea and I can get them for $1 a pair. So I'm spending $1 a pair.
Nice. That's very cheap.
I know. These are the lucky socks. They cost $1 to prepare. But then let's say like my packaging and everything else that's involved in creating them into making this a sellable item. Let's say it's $2. Okay. I'm going to put another $1 on that. So it's $2.
Yeah.
So I do not want to wholesale price these for any less than $4. Probably more.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think another really important thing to keep in mind is what can the market bear?
Okay, true.
So look at all of your competitors and say, are they selling socks for $8, which is double your wholesale price of $4? Or are they selling them for $15 or $12? Because if that's the case, let's say they're selling them for $12. So you know that you can get away with selling socks for $12. Wholesale rate would be $6. That means that if you're spending $2 to make this product happen, you are taking home an extra $4 in profit. Like that's wonderful. Like you can always make more profit, but like once you set your wholesale rate, like you're kind of stuck there.
Yeah.
That's just the rate. You can't necessarily change that like without letting your customers know.
Yes.
Or like doing more market research to find out if the market can actually bear that price. So, I mean, that's a very long-winded explanation for a very simple question.
Yeah.
But it is something that I get a lot of questions about from people. Like, how do you determine your wholesale price? And that it really is just like the simple equation and then kind of building off of that.
Yeah. I'm glad that we did it both ways because I like the building up and then also like building down. It's good to do it both ways, depending on the scenario that you're looking at, right? Like you could say to yourself up front, like, I want to make X amount. This is what I want to retail this for. And then you could divide that in half for your wholesale and divide it in half again, potentially for like what you would want to spend on it to produce it at the most.
Yeah. Yeah. And also keep in mind that the more you order of a certain product, like the more money you're going to save investment wise. So like that will make you even more money. So if you set your wholesale rate at a certain amount, but you like lower your cost, it's just more profit for you. So like order in bulk if you can. That's always a good rule of thumb.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely order in bulk. Oh, actually, you know what, guys? I'm going to take a second to pitch this really quick. So speaking of ordering in bulk and finding places to produce your products, you should check out the A to Z directory. And while Holly is here helping us record these episodes and being a temporary co-host, if you have interest in joining the A to Z directory, please go to bizbirthdaybash.com/Holly. And you can use her link specifically. There will be a link on that page for you to click to be taken through to the actual sales page so that anyone that signs up because of these episodes that Holly's helping us with, it'll come back to her in the form of a little bit of a affiliate thank you. And I think we're going to give her a $20 off coupon code to share too. So that'll also be on that page if you go to use that link. So
$20 off.
Woo-hoo.
I love saving.
Yes. Everyone loves saving. So,
yes.
Okay, let's go on to the next one. I will read this one.
Perfect.
This one is from someone who asked to be anonymous. And they asked,
anonymous.
yes, how do you now? and understandably why, it's a little more of like a serious question. How do you navigate through tough times in your personal life? How do you keep your business ship sailing when things feel overwhelming in your personal life? You both seem super resilient and great with boundary setting, so I'd love to hear your insight on this. I personally struggle with anxiety and depression. I've made so much progress over the last year, but I find that sometimes there are seasons where my anxiety and depression show up and make things feel a bit tough in my business. Of course, this is something I chat through with my therapist a lot, but I find that she sometimes just doesn't get it as much as my fellow online business owners would. So I would love to hear your insight if you can relate.
All right.
I think we both can relate.
Yeah. Yes, deeply.
Yeah.
I think any business owner like eventually will get to that point where it's overwhelming and it's a struggle and it's hard to get through every day in your business.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What about you, Elizabeth? What do you do when you're having a tough time?
Well, to be honest, one of those days was yesterday. So I literally felt like my brain was broken. Honestly, it was like the most bizarre thing. Is like I was like, I could literally sit here and stare at a wall all day and that is like all I need to do today. Like my brain just can't process any more than that. So actually what I did was took time to get out of the house. So I told Will, I was like, hey, I'm going to go work at the Barnes & Noble and just get into a different headspace. I think I lasted like 30 or 40 minutes there before I was like, this is not working either. I still want to die. And part of it is that like, I'm about to be crazy busy in this next week, but I've been blessed with the fact that my January has been a little slower, but that's not always like the best thing for me. And sometimes it just feels too slow. And there's just been like a lot of different things like in my personal life, like with me or with friends or whatever it may be. There's like so many friends at different life stages of different things right now. I've been talking to all of them this week. So I just kind of like hit a wall. So after not working, not being able to focus in Barnes & Noble at all, I was like, I'm just going to go for a drive. I just like drove. I kind of had an idea of where I was going. I was like, I would really like to drive to the top of Kennesaw Mountain and see the view, like provided that is open. Sometimes they don't, cars can't go up at certain times. And so I also like got Bojangles on the way there because I was like, I'm just going to do a quick stop for some fast food. Let my brain kind of like have the moment that it needed, honestly. Just trying to drink more water. Just those simple things. Like I did a 10-minute meditation last night. I was like, I need to just like have a moment and just like be still and kind of be at peace. And shocker, I feel so much better today. I was worried, Holly. I was worried. I was like, is this going to be my life now? Like,
oh no.
But that,
Well, I'm glad that you did all of that. That's very like self-care.
Yes.
That's like a total self-care way of approaching like a bad day or like a kind of like, I hate this. This sucks. Yeah, absolutely. But I think getting outside is a big help for a lot of people. I hear that a lot. I'm not so good with that myself. Yeah. Getting outside is not the thing that's going to make me happier.
You're like, no.
No, I'm more of a like comfort kind of person. So like I want to comfort food, or I want to watch a movie that I've seen 1,000 times, or I want to like reread a book that I've read, that it's just the spine is breaking on it or something. And like, what a great episode to start off with the co-hosting. So personal.
I know.
I definitely had like depression for a few years and like off and on. And it did spill over into when I started my business and went full time. And it is really difficult to get out of bed sometimes. And it's really difficult to be positive about your business and like really just like move day to day through that time of your life. So I totally understand. And I like but I just don't know that there's like one way that fixes all of it, especially if you are in the middle of like this season of anxiety and depression. But I do think that identifying like, oh wait, preface, I'm not a therapist.
Yes.
Like this is just like my personal experience. But I think identifying the thing that's giving you the most anxiety will help so much. Like, for example, when I was super sad about my business or like my personal life, I found that it was because I wasn't communicating my feelings, my like needs with my husband. And so it was creating a little bit of a rift. Like he thought I loved the business more than him, which is really sad, poor thing. But like that's definitely not the case, but I didn't know because I wasn't communicating. So it was causing me anxiety and it was making me sad. But when I recognized that is what was going on, it like made things so much better. And it didn't cure everything, of course, because when you're anxious or depressed, like that's just a state of mind for the time, but it did make things so much better. So I definitely recommend like sitting down with yourself, doing some meditation, like Elizabeth said, and maybe going outside or like getting some comfort food or something and just kind of like doing a deep dive into yourself and saying, what is going on? Like, am I just sad because I'm just sad? Or like, is there a reason for the sadness? And see where that takes you. But it is a temporary thing. It's not going to last forever. You just have to kind of like muddle your way through it.
And I'm personally like a big list maker. I'm a big fan of lists because it makes me feel better. So like on those days where things are really hard, take a shower is sometimes on the list. And if I check that off, then good for me. That's like, that's the thing that should be like celebrated. Making my bed, taking time. I notice, especially working from home anymore, it's like the odds that I take time to do my hair and makeup are really close to none. Holly is witnessing
you look very
rare now. Day right now. Okay, Holly, this is partly because of just how yesterday went that I was like, I need to make sure that tomorrow's better. I'm going to do that like self-care. I'm going to do my hair. I'm going to do my makeup. I'm going to do these things that don't matter because really no one's seeing me, like but my husband and but Holly right now at this point. But it's really like the force of habit, right? Like making yourself do this that made you feel better. Yep.
Like I don't need anybody to see me, but I did my hair and makeup and now I feel better. Like that's a very powerful thing, is that mindset.
Very,
shift.
very powerful. I was able to kind of turn around where I was yesterday and have a new day today. But all that to say, like I've absolutely had my seasons where it's day after day that's really hard, like, and Cammie and I talk about this story all the time, like the story she was trying to like force feed me a popsicle in like the summer of 2020. Oh, yeah. I was like, no,
I remember this.
I can't, no, I don't want it. And she's like, please. I'm like, I can't, I don't want the popsicle. Like there's going to be seasons like that. And that was like the season where I said, right now is not a good time to be my own boss, and I'm going to go work at Publix. And that is what I did for 2.5 months in the summer of 2020, and was once again kind of able to get myself back and get myself on track for what I needed to do next. But it's hard, especially when the pressures of like your family life, and if you have kids, you're balancing all those extra things that I feel fortunate at this point in my life that I could go on a drive yesterday and I'm not worrying about like a toddler or something that I'm just, not having to like find childcare for or anything like that. So being able to surround yourself with people who can step in when you need help, like you have to know when to ask for help, that if you need that day to recover, who's somebody who can step in, who has a few hours to give you the space, because sometimes that might be what you need. So just to be aware of that, kind of like what Holly was saying.
I mean, I know that Elizabeth and I have talked on our hard days like this. And like, it's made such a difference to just get on the phone and talk things through and realize like, okay, it's like, this is going to pass. Everything passes and it's going to be just fine after this. But at least I have this one moment that we can commiserate a little bit and kind of just talk through it together.
Yeah.
So
gotta have those people in your corner. It can be your mom, it can be your grandma, it can be whoever,
Your pet.
Could be your pet.
It can be your pet.
For sure. Like
I talk to Stormy all the time.
I love that.
I'm making light of this, but it's a serious topic. I am glad that you're seeing a therapist though, because that is like, that's such a big help.
Yes.
Even if she doesn't get it, she at least is somebody that you can talk at and kind of get it off your chest.
Yeah.
So,
as long as you can verbalize all of that. I am a big supporter of going to therapy and counseling. And I have been in and out at so many different points in my life for a variety of reasons. And I kind of try to keep a mental track on when I'm feeling, kind of the spidey sense of like, it might be time to go back.
Spidey senses are tingling. Got to go back to the therapist.
Yes, exactly. So, but I hope that helps, especially because, I personally do know who submitted it and I care for this person deeply and it's a lot to be working through for sure. So you can reach out to me anytime. You know who you are. So, okay. I think we are ready for the next one, Holly.
All right. Read this one. You want me to go? Okay. This is from Samantha of Sam Nelson Art _ paints live. Okay. Wow. That's a lot. I work almost solely with custom orders and I complete them in the order I receive them. The holidays get a little crazy, as both of you know, I'm sure, and I have a hard time saying no to people. Girl, okay. I recently had someone ask for me to complete their painting faster and offer to pay extra. What are your thoughts on this? It makes me feel icky to accept. I also want to be like, girl, there are 10 orders ahead of you. Wait your turn. But I know that probably would not be the best response.
I'm really glad you made that phrase like extra sassy, like Reddit.
I had to.
Like Reddit and how she was feeling when she wrote that.
That's honestly like when I'm typing something, that's the voice I'm using in my head. So it's accurate.
Yeah, accurate.
Having a hard time saying no to people, that's like, everybody has a hard time saying no to people, I feel like. Except recently, I feel like I've gotten so much better at that.
I bet you have.
Like, and it's liberating.
It probably comes with, I think you get to a certain point in your business. I don't want to say that it's like a certain year mark, but let's say around like year 3 or year 4, and you're kind of like, you know what? No.
I haven't gotten to the point where I just type no period and that's my only response, but there's no more like apologizing. It's just no, I'm unavailable.
Yes.
No, but here are some recommendations from other people you can speak with. And that is like something that is just, I think you said this in a recent episode, but it is just so like fulfilling to recommend somebody that you know and trust to somebody else for whatever reason, because you don't like the project, because you just don't want it, because you don't have time, whatever. It's just, that is such a great alternative to saying no.
Yeah.
It just feels better and it doesn't feel as icky. And I know that like saying no for the first 20 or 30 times is going to feel icky, but like, it's not. That's a totally normal response.
Yeah, it's a totally normal response. But
back to the question.
Yeah, no, back to the question. I feel like I have like differing thoughts on this in terms of like where my like instincts lie, because I'm like,
okay,
there's half of me that is thinking maybe that there's some sort of pricing issue that needs to be addressed. Like, okay, well, if somebody's like offering you to pay you more to do it faster, is this
like what are you charging?
Is this indicative of like that you do need to raise your prices if you're filling up this quickly during the holiday season? So I think that's something to be addressed and to be thought about. In terms of like letting people like cut the line, like that would make me feel like uncomfortable and weird. But because people are wanting to cut the line and get it faster and are willing to pay to have it, that to me is like the catalyst where you should tell them no in this season, but then consider raising your prices.
Yeah. I mean, I have definitely had people pay to rush their order, but I've also had the capability to fit them in. Like, it sounds like, Samantha, you are like booked solid, and that it's going to take you a long time to do these 10 orders that are ahead of whomever is asking for like to cut in line. So that is probably not a good time to allow somebody to cut in line. But like in the past, when I've taken on rush orders and allowed people to skip ahead, it's because I wasn't booked out completely. I just wanted to have some extra free time for myself. So by taking this rush order and then paying extra for it, I just gave up an evening to do their project for them, which like, yeah, okay, I didn't watch a movie or a TV show, whatever, no big deal. But I'm with Elizabeth, I think, on this. Like, I would also feel icky that they said that.
Because
like,
it's all the same, like, it's clearly all the same type of custom order for something, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a pet portrait or a house portrait. So, like, everyone's waiting for house portraits. It's not like one person is like, I need my vows now, you know, my wedding vows. Give them to me in 2 days. I'll pay you, like, extra to rush them. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel as weird because there's not, like, a line for that. I'm making time in my schedule, like you said, or giving up something of mine to accommodate them for a little bit of extra money. But that's not a project equivalent to these, you know, that's like cutting what someone else was previously waiting for.
I guess I'm just like I feel so strongly about people that make their like failings my fault, like not my circus, not my monkeys kind of thing. Like
100%.
You waited too long to get this done. Just throwing money at it doesn't change anything. So
yeah, I'm not going to reward that just because like you have the money to like pay for it.
That's bad behavior.
You're like, no.
That's like when people go complain at a restaurant for no reason and they give them their order for free. And it's like, there's no reason to do that. You're rewarding poor behavior.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. That's why we as a society, I feel like, are just crumbling.
I mean, I feel that way a little bit in terms of like when you think about like a fast pass at an amusement park, like the concept of that like has always annoyed me too, because I'm like, why? Like you're just, it's just people who have more money, I guess, or maybe just value that in a different way. Like, okay, they're willing to pay for it, but what's so wrong with like just everybody waiting like they're supposed to? So
yeah, in this really great experience that these theme parks have dreamed up for you while you're waiting in line. You really want to skip that? Because it's
my
awesome.
Sister-in-law. So my brother just got married in September, and my sister-in-law was telling me the story at Christmas where one of her biggest pet peeves is being in an amusement park and watching people physically cut in line because somebody else, like from their family or their friend group, held the spot.
That.
But then like
that.
7 to 10 people like all went, and she's like, whoa, what's happening on? She literally like stood in this woman's way and like wouldn't let her pass.
Oh my gosh, she's my hero.
Which is so funny because she's like really a sweet and like soft-spoken person. And so when she told me that story, I was like, I would have paid money to be there to watch you do that, because like she
just wanted to die on that hill.
That was like the hill she was going to die on. And she was like, no, I'm like not letting you pass. This woman was like trying to crawl over the like fence barrier.
What?
Yeah. It was like a whole thing. So
oh my gosh.
Anyway, those that summarizes our very strong feelings about cutting in line. But like Holly said, there are situations that allow for that, for like a rush order, and it's your prerogative as a business owner to determine that to determine the order.
But it's your business. You can run it however you want to, and if saying no to this person feels like the right thing to do, then that's what you need to do. And, you know, stay firm with your policies as well. Yeah. You know, if you're going to make it a practice to never allow people to kind of quote unquote cut in line, then just stick with that. It makes things a lot easier in the long run if you don't change up your policies all the time.
Agreed. Okay, Samantha, hopefully that helped. We have one more question to answer today from Maria of Little Dove Stationery. And she said, first off, I'm a longtime listener since episode 1 and am forever grateful for you ladies. Thank you. Your work is such an inspiration to me, and your resources are a huge blessing for our industry. Thank you. I love that. There's like, thank you, all caps. Do you have any recommendations for educational resources? free or paid, cheap or very expensive, as long as they are worth it. I have been through the Stationer Summit and loved it. Now I'm looking to deepen my skill set, especially when it comes to my artistic skill in digital design for artists. Lots of love for you ladies always. This question excites me because it feels like it was meant for us. And I didn't even know that this, when I put this list together, that Holly was going to be here, because Holly was part of the Stationer Summit.
I was, yes. Yes. The Stationer Summit was amazing. I still watch all of the content from that. So just so amazing. But there are so many resources out there for stationers, so much more than when I started and Elizabeth and Cami.
Yes, so much more.
Like when we all got started, 2015 was you as well, and Cami?
Also 2015.
Okay, so we all got started the same year.
I know there's a lot of people that I'm friends with that when I think back on it, we were kind of all getting on Instagram and starting to post stuff at the same time. Okay, I literally have a list within my notes on my computer somewhere of
all right.
all the courses I've signed up for. Okay, because you know how courses are. It's like you have a different URL link sign up for like everything. And sometimes it's impossible to remember where everything is, which is why I have it in a list that I can't even find, you guys. So,
well, while Elizabeth is looking, I will tell you about my favorite resource, besides obviously the Biz Birthday Bash resources.
And talk about yours too, Holly. She has to talk about hers because she also has some.
My gosh,
so talk about those too.
Shameless self-promotion. I will get to that in a second. But Skillshare is honestly my favorite thing in the whole world. I have been a member of Skillshare off and on for like 4 or 5 years, like ever since I started. And I've learned so many different like disciplines, to like painting, digital art, even like brush calligraphy. I kind of like brushed up on my skill set, no pun intended, by watching all of these tutorials and videos and stuff. And it's really great because Skillshare is like so concise. You can watch a 20-minute video, or you can watch an entire course that's like hours long, and you can interact with the teachers. And I know that Skillshare is like very well known, but it has gotten so much bigger in the last couple years. It's just exploded with all of these great resources and artists and designers, and you can learn literally anything from like product styling to creating a product line to like how to use InDesign and painting and art and all of these things. So like it's a cool way to dip your toes in the water of stationery or like learning a new discipline without investing in like a big expensive course. So it's cheap. It's on the cheap side. Not super expensive and amazing.
Yeah, because you pay a monthly fee to just have access to their entire library, right?
Yeah. It's as much as you want to watch for a whole month. Or you can, I think they changed it now where you can pay for a year and pay less money. So like you get a discount if you do the yearly subscription, which is also wonderful. But it's super cheap and so great.
Yeah,
so great.
That's a really great way to like have access to so much at once. I did find my list. So I updated it in November of 2020. So that's why it was farther back than I realized. I guess I use my notes in my phone and my Mac a lot more than I realized. So I have like Will's Chick-fil-A order in one of them, things like that. So
you never remember to delete those. They're always just like these random notes in there.
I don't need this. Okay, so I'll go through some of the courses that I have like personally taken and invested in over the years for a variety of different reasons. Some of them are, well, let's see, are any of these stationery related? I think some of them they're just like creatively related in ways that I knew could further my, whether it's like artistic career or just stationery, that I could use some of those skills, So the first one is the InDesign Field Guide by Kelsey Baldwin of Paper and Oats. So that one was just really great for me to have a very comprehensive understanding of InDesign, because Photoshop and Illustrator are pretty much self-taught for the most part. But I didn't know like a lick about InDesign. And so I invested in that, a few years back now. And so I have these in this one place because I need to go through and like actually like watch these courses again. Then surface pattern design by Bonnie Christine.
Yes. I love that course. It's so
good.
It's amazing.
And also just like the knowledge, like my Illustrator knowledge got so much better by taking that. And I'm not a surface pattern designer, but the Illustrator part alone was like worth the cost of that course. That one is almost $1,000. I think that was like a big one. The summer writing intensive with Hannah Brencher, I just took for like a fun writing course. The ConvertKit course.
Have to write that one down. That sounds fun.
The ConvertKit course by Spruce Road. I think it is still available if I remember correctly, but that was when I was like really diving into ConvertKit at the beginning and just needed to understand how to format an email template in ConvertKit, which is so funny because now it's like everyone uses Flowdesk. Flowdesk didn't exist when I bought that course. That's like what's crazy. Learn font making with Every Tuesday. I think it's her name is Tula. Yeah. I feel like I might be saying it wrong, but
Tila Cunningham.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
So her font making course was like really fun. That's still something that I want to do at some point is design and create a font. Pin Progress with Vanessa Kynes was one that I had also bought, years ago now at this point I bought it for my like VA at the time to try to learn and understand Pinterest a little better. But I don't, these are things that I need to like go back and check to make sure that, some of these people, like you can still sign in to take this course, but like, I don't know how often these people are opening these courses. It looks like yours might be evergreen actually, which is nice. You can enroll whenever. And the last one was like really like for funsies. It was one of those like late night emails that got me.
You were influenced.
I was like, this looks really cool and I need it. It's the Pigment Lab with Emily Jeffords when she teaches how to make paint from scratch. And I was like, why would I not buy this?
I was so tempted.
I'm so glad it wasn't just me. I'm so glad someone could understand. So yeah, those are like the investments that I have personally made for courses. I will of course pitch Britt from Swell Press for her Learn Letterpress course because I helped her on the back end, bring that to life. But in terms of from her teaching perspective, the fact that she invested in such great filming, it really does feel like masterclass level. If you have any interest,
well, she is the master of letterpress.
And if you have any interest 100%. In that art form, designing for it or printing for it, like that is the course to go to for sure. So
yes,
that is my list. I was able to find it.
You just reminded me, I took a business course. Some of you may be familiar with Business Made Simple. They do building a story brand that like I read the book, which I love, just fell head over heels for.
Love it.
And so I took the course and I've like, it just has completely transformed my business. I haven't implemented everything because there's so much, but like just doing even the free emails that they send you like once a week, that will just elevate the way that you think about your business and make you make changes that will appeal to any sort of audience that you are trying to reach. So that's a really, really awesome course, free or paid.
Yeah. I agree completely. And also, Holly, I really want you to share the resources that you have in your shop for stationers and creatives because you have some great ones. I remember I think I first found Holly obviously we started businesses at the same time, but Holly wrote an email series or a blog series maybe, right? It was like 4 parts on pricing. And I was like, this girl is my soulmate.
I have very strong opinions about pricing clearly because these blog posts were like 4,000 words each. Like they were super long.
You should have written a book, really.
You
still could.
That would be really awesome. Actually, I do have all of the resources that I have on my website right now are all part of this book that I'm kind of putting together. It'll be a digital book, but it's like building your best stationery business. So I think we're up to like 14 or 15 parts. There's only 6, I think, that are ready and published. But like when we get to the end of this, it's just going to be like a full roadmap for like either beginner stationers, or intermediate or advanced. Like anybody can use this. So right now I have like a how to price wedding signage guide that's very popular, and also a contract for styled shoots that's very popular as well. That's a great resource if you're just getting into stationery and you're trying to not get screwed over by other people that are organizing styled shoots. It gives you a lot of like great questions to ask, and protecting yourself basically from shoots. Not that shoots are bad. We love shoots, but mostly we love shoots. And then there's a couple other like ways to grow your business, like my networking roadmap and like goal setting, basically how to grow from like just a baby idea into like a full-fledged idea. So lots of different resources on my website. Shameless plug, end of it.
It's stablewoodpaper.com.
Oh yes. There you go, Elizabeth. Thank you. Just like assume that I've already said my like website.
Yeah. Well, that's something that I'll put on our little like bizbirthdaybash.com/Holly page. It'll have your link for the A to Z directory, but it'll have links for Holly's other resources as well, because there's a reason why she's here talking to you guys. She's very wise. We signaled her out.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So
yes, I do enjoy this education part of everything. It's when you've been in the business for as long as we have, it's kind of like it makes sense to share some of that with other people. You can't just keep it to yourself forever and ever. It just spills out of you.
It brings us a lot of joy. And as like both of us, I would say self-proclaimed introverts with good social skills. Okay, guys, there's like a difference. But
yes.
And I'm reading the book Quiet right now. Have you read that, Holly?
Oh, I have not.
It's like a guide for introverts in a world that's made for extroverts. Basically, she just has a lot of very amazing. Cool insight about so much of our culture is surrounded. It's based on people who are extroverted and having extroverted tendencies. And but one of the beautiful things about podcasts, she even talked about this in the episode, is she was like, podcast gives introverts like the ability to like truly be themselves, because all we're doing is talking to each other, when we don't have to think about like the 700 people that are going to listen to it next week.
Yep, exactly. Because that already, like, you're like getting a little sweaty. Like, oh my God. Oh, yes. Yeah. The joys of being an introvert in an extroverted world. I'm going to have to read that. Who's it by?
Susan. What is?
I could probably find it with that.
Yes. Quiet by Susan Cain. Cain.
Cain. Oh, okay.
The power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. So that is what has been on my nightstand this week. What am I trying to say?
And here I am over here rereading Game of Thrones for like the fourth time. Like,
well, you know what?
You're actually doing something good.
There is no shame in rereading something you love. Actually, I like got slightly emotional when you said, it was just like so poetic of you. You were like, or reading the book that the binding is like falling off of. And I was like, felt that in my soul. You said that earlier this episode, like for your self-care type of thing. I think I've read The Goose Girl. It's like a fairy tale, like 7 times or something like that. I've read Harry Potter so many times. Like,
oh God,
there's nothing wrong with rereading the things that you love.
No, absolutely not. There's a reason that the binding is breaking apart on these books.
Exactly. And you guys have an awesome at-home library now because you remodeled it and it's beautiful.
Oh, yes. I just sit in that room sometimes and stare at my kingdom. I'm just like, yes. How many more books can I fit on these shelves?
Welcome to my kingdom.
Yes.
Well, guys, I am just so happy that Holly is here. This is crazy that we've already reached the end of the first episode that we're doing together. And in terms of housekeeping, I learned something new this week. Spotify is accepting reviews now for podcasts. Yes. So not written reviews, but you can at least give a star review, which is awesome. So if you want to go tap that 5 stars for us on the Biz Birthday Bash podcast over on Spotify, we would absolutely love that. You can, of course, leave a traditional written review on iTunes if you would care to. That means the world to us. We always like reading them and seeing what you guys have to say. And like you already know, this is Q and Cake. So if you have more questions, go to bizbirthdaybash.com/Q and Cake and leave your question there. Holly's recording at least one other Q and Cake with us, I know for sure. So if you have questions for Holly, especially, make sure you leave them there and we can make sure that she answers them during our time with us. So
yes, please send some questions for me. I'm excited.
All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Ciao.
Hey guys, we just wanted to hop in and talk about one of our amazing resources, the A to Z directory. All of us have thought at some point, how did she do that or how did she make that? And maybe you don't know where to start or how the heck to produce this amazing product you've dreamt up.
Well, the A to Z directory is the missing puzzle piece in your biz, you guys, seriously. So it's built in the form of a yearly membership, and it's your one-stop shop for finding suppliers and vendors for all the things. Literally where to print everything from custom invitations, greeting cards, mugs, koozies, acrylic printing, letterpress, custom ribbon. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And it literally goes from A to Z. From acrylic printers to zipper pouches, we have it in the A to Z directory.
We want to help all of you search less and create more with this list of 300 plus vendors and suppliers. Don't worry, they're very organized. It's not going to be overwhelming and confusing when you join. And this membership also includes access to a private Facebook community. It's incredibly active and involved. And if you need a question answered fast, that is definitely the place to go.
Yeah, our Facebook group really is the best, you guys. Everyone is so helpful in there. And we're in there too, answering questions you guys might have. So it's a great way to get access to us and ask us things without sliding into our DMs. So we're more likely to answer you in the Facebook group, just saying. Anyway, also in the Facebook group, this is new for 2020 and we're really excited about it. We are hosting monthly Power Hour Q&A sessions that are live, and these are only available to our A to Z directory members. So you can hop in with us live and ask us all your burning questions in real time and just hang out with us every month. And we do these at different times so you can actually be there live, and the replays are always available in the Facebook group for members.
This resource is priced at $147 a year, which honestly is extremely affordable and is full of so many benefits, such as exclusive vendor coupons for members only. And we would love to have you guys join. Seriously, it's kind of like our family and our tribe. So visit bizbirthdaybash.com/directory to sign up today and use coupon code podcast2020 to receive $20 off your first year. That's podcast, all caps, 2020 for $20 off your first year.
We can't wait to see you in the Facebook group.